Let's go to 5 headlines. The rioters in Portland are still at it, of course. Let's check in and see how that's going on. You know, you see videos like that, and we should remember that, yes, these are violent domestic terrorists who should all be arrested and sent to prison. But also, these are scrawny, weak, pathetic wimps. And that's the thing that always jumps out at you when you see these videos. There's a reason why they operate in packs, in groups, and that's how they attack people. That's how they do everything. Because one-on-one, these are just utterly pathetic and unimpressive people. And I think that's a big reason why they're doing what they're doing. It's a way of feeling. I mean, a lot of these people probably were bullied in school and have just been treated as pathetic and unimpressive because they are their whole lives. And now they're finding a way to finally an outlet where they can feel strong and powerful. They put on the black costume and the mask and they go out and smash stuff. But they can't even successfully smash glass with a fire extinguisher because, you know, probably the guy you're seeing there probably bench presses 47 pounds or something, if that. So that's, and that's the balance I always want to strike when we talk about Antifa and the rioters, that on one hand, they do represent a very real threat, but I also don't want to make the mistake of portraying them as if they individually are tough and scary people, because they aren't at all. But you put a group of doesn't matter how weak and pitiful you are as a person, if you get together in a group of 100 people or more, and you've got weapons and you're setting fires, you're going to be dangerous. Okay, let's go to number 2 here. A report from the Daily Wire says the wife of ABC's Good Morning host George Stephanopoulos revealed she's perfectly willing to teach her teenage daughters about sex by watching porn with them. Allie Wentworth, whose daughters are 15 and 17, told the Dissenters podcast that porn would be educational for them because she could explain that porn is performative rather than realistic, according to Yahoo News. Wentworth said, in porn, women have been conditioned to look and act a certain way. They are performing, and it's dangerous to have boys see this as something women want. You can't stop them, so I would watch it with them. I would look at the porn with them that one time like they're performing. And then she goes on, I have an issue with how we are raising this generation of children because we grew up without social media. For us, our children, us as parents, are guinea pigs. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say about don't use your phone. Use your phone. And I start learning as I went when I would see other people's daughters and how sexualized they were on social media. And I became very passionate about the idea that we want to regulate social media. We need to chart these waters for our kids. So I started doing these panels on the social media and its effects. And my feeling was this was a very dangerous thing. I see it with other kids. Our suicide rate too has doubled. I see the bad effects. I think there are good effects too. I mean, I'm just reading a transcript right now. This doesn't make any sense. It sounds like, was she drunk or something? That wouldn't make it much better. That would make it a little bit better if she was drunk when she did that. I have no idea if she was or not. But this is largely incoherent. I mean, we do find that she's worried about people's daughters being sexualized. She seems to be worried, from what I can decipher, about the effects of social media. And her way of responding to that is to watch hardcore pornography with her daughters, including her 15-year-old daughter. Not that it matters. I mean, really, no matter how old the daughter is, that's just creepy and disgusting and weird, to put it mildly. So there's George Stephanopoulos' wife. Number 3, reading again from the Daily Wire, says St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, a Democrat, announced on Monday that she's charging the St. Louis couple who defended their private property using firearms last month with felony unlawful use of a weapon. The couple also reportedly faces a 4th-degree misdemeanor assault charge. The St. Louis Dispatch reported Mark and Patricia McCloskeys each are facing a single felony count of unlawful use of a weapon. exhibiting. Charging documents say he pointed an AR-15 rifle at protesters and she wielded a semi-automatic handgun, placing those protesters in fear of injury. So just to reiterate on this case, because this is obviously an outrageous miscarriage of justice. And the governor has already said that he would pardon, if there were charges brought, he would pardon these two American citizens who were only defending their own property. And I'm glad to hear that. But the fact that charges were pressed at all is, as I said, outrageous. They're standing on their own property, holding firearms. That is their Second Amendment right. This is a direct attack on the Second Amendment. And it's not as though, despite what we hear from the media, it's not as though they had no reason to think that these supposed peaceful protesters might be violent. This is how dumb the media thinks we are, and this is how dumb a lot of people actually are. That they're portraying the McCloskeys as these gun-toting lunatics and say, well, why would they think that they were at any risk? I mean, these were peaceful. As if we haven't all been watching the news for two months and seeing cities across the country, buildings being burned, random people assaulted. Let's pretend we haven't seen that. No, except for all of that, there's just no reason at all to think that for them to have thought that they were in any physical danger at all. Number 4, going back to the Portland riots for a moment, here's another interesting recent phenomenon at these riots. First, let's just watch this footage here. So what you're seeing there are the moms. The Antifa moms have shown up, and they are forming a human chain, a shield, to shield their precious children as their precious children commit felonies, such as trying to set a federal building on fire. So commit serious, dangerous felonies. The moms have shown up to help them, aid and abet them in their crimes. So to those of us who had been theorizing that one of the reasons why Antifa exists is because of horrible parenting, now we have confirmation for that theory. If there was any doubt at all, the terrible, neglectful, awful parents have actually showed up to advertise, to all but announce, oh yeah, we're horrible. Well, look at us. Look how horrible we are. They're on parade. They are parading their awful parenting for all of us to see. So glad to get that confirmation. That feels good at least. Number 5, and now the AP. The AP is the latest to come out and say that the word black should be capitalized, but not white. And we've seen this more and more recently, but I want you to listen to, here's the AP explaining why there is this dichotomy where we capitalize one and not the other. It says, the AP said, this is according to an AP report, the AP said white people in general have much less shared history and culture and don't have the experience of being discriminated against because of skin color. We agree that this is now John Danishowski, the AP's vice president for standards, said in a memo, we agree that white people's skin color plays into systemic inequalities and injustices, and we want our journalism to robustly explore these problems, but capitalizing the term white, as is done by white supremacists, risks subtly conveying legitimacy to such beliefs. Okay. This is obviously nonsense. I mean, even if I were to agree that white people are never discriminated against because of their skin color, which of course is not true, talk about systemic racism. Okay. The only explicit, out in the open example of actual systemic racism, like it's a policy that we're going to discriminate against certain races, the only example anyone could come up with is affirmative action. And that is discrimination against white people. So, but even if I were to agree with that, white people don't have the experience of being discriminated against. What does that have to do with grammar? What does that have to do with punctuation? So you're gonna, or capitalization rather. So you capitalize the first letter in the word black because they're discriminated against, but not white because they're not. What relation is there between those two things? It's total nonsense. But this is the left turning grammar into, and this is not the first example of it, obviously, but this is grammar being politicized. This is even grammar now is an ideological concern. And so even when you're deciding what letters to capitalize, you're not making that determination based on any grammatical rule. You're making it based on ideological doctrine. And that's what we see once again. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Wire, one of the fastest growing conservative media outlets in the entire country. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and a subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of our content.